As a professional organizer, I thought I had my systems down to a science. Seriously, I live and breathe this stuff. My home was functional, not very decorative. I didn't have much stuff that was just for show. And also my shopping habits were strictly followed this one in, one out rule. So when my partner and I made that somewhat spontaneous but also incredibly exciting decision to leave our home in the heart of Berlin and start fresh on the beautiful Atlantic coast in Spain, we knew dissolving an entire household would be a lot of work. But I was confident my organizational systems would make it manageable. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? And then I opened the hallway closet and gravity happened. A literal landslide of just-in-case spatulas, forgotten travel adapters from trips I didn't even remember, and also an alarming numbers of scented candles I clearly never lit buried me up to my knees. And somewhere under this chaos, amidst the avalanche of forgotten potential, I swear I heard the smug whispered, "I told you so." Of every single t-shirt I'd ever perfectly folded into a little rectangle. Surprise, they seemed to say, "We never actually left, do we?" I was standing there, completely bewildered, in the middle of our 46 square meter flat, staring at 46 carefully labeled boxes. And that's when the math finally clicked. The truth, in all its brutal simplicity, hit me like a ton of bricks. Minimalism isn't about how tidy your shelves look or how pleasing your curated corners are. It's about how empty the floor is when you start moving and packing up. And right then, in that moment of profound realization, my floor was nowhere in sight. It was buried under a mountain range of my own making, a testament to a truth I'd carefully avoided. For 4 years, I would carefully follow all the rules. I honored my home with Marie Kondo's tidying festivals, thanking them items before I let them go. I followed Project 333 for my closet, a challenge to dress only with 33 items for 3 months. And in my apartment, everything had a use, a need, a place. And also friends would often call me the organized one, a title I wore with quite pride, and in turn, I confidently believed I truly mastered the art of working and living with less. But the truth is, my organization systems were almost too effective. Each category of my life had its perfectly labeled box, each shelf its precise right angle, every item assigned its designated home. And because everything had a home, a tiny little corner where it belonged, I naively assumed I owned less. I genuinely believed I was living lightly. The system itself created a blind spot. Packing, however, blew that comfortable delusion wide open. It ripped through my carefully built image like a hurricane. Because when you're forced to pull every single item you own into one centralized room, volume doesn't lie, it shouts. I watched with horrified fascination as my life ballooned from a functional to a cargo ship in under 2 hours. And the surprise wasn't just mental, it was deeply physical. My chest felt tight, my palms were sweaty, and a wave of nausea was actually washing over me. Why? Because the stuff wasn't hidden away in cute, perfectly arranged baskets anymore. It was all out in the open, exposed, like a crime scene photo of my own material excess. It was undeniable proof that I'd been mistaking organized accumulation for genuine minimalism. A subtle but powerful distinction that even I had overlooked. Have you ever noticed that clutter seems to multiply once it hits open air? I call it the chemical brewing effect. Once the lid comes off, your carefully contained life stuff reproduces like a science lab culture run wild. And my supposedly minimalist spice rack, which I'd always considered a perfect example of order, became a shocking display of 16 glass jars of forgotten seeds. 3 of them I discovered were dill. Dill! I don't even cook with dill. Never have, probably never will. Yet they were multiplying and breeding in the harsh daylight, mocking my supposed culinary simplicity. And that was the moment I realized even the best system need a regular, honest audit. My internal narrative about what I owned, what I used, what I truly needed, it all crumbled. I mean, if dill seeds, of all things, could hide in plain sight for years, widely accumulating and pretending to be essential, what else was I utterly blind to? And also, what other hidden pockets of unnecessary accumulation were lurking, waiting to ambush me when the next lid came off? This wasn't just about spices, it was about a fundamental disconnect between my perception and reality. We knew that moving our entire household would be a major undertaking, but we were still surprised by the final count. The brutally tally was 16 boxes. 16. And on top of that, a fully loaded transporter van packed to the brim. And to add insult to injury, 2 nervous, incredibly patient parents storing an extra wardrobe's worth of my stuff in their garage, a temporary holding cell for my lingering attachments. And I mean, these were 16 boxes for 2 humans who not so long ago had proudly bragged they could backpack across Southeast Asia with less than 10 kilos each. And the irony was a bitter pill to swallow, because perfectly organized items are still clutter if they're tied to a version of you that no longer exists. It's the most sophisticated, beautifully organized trap of all of them. So here's a part that no decluttering guru posts about: the uncomfortable, deeply personal truth that emerges when you strip away the labels, the categories, the perfectly arranged shelves. You're left with the raw, terrifying questions: who am I without my stuff? For years, my professional identity was built on having perfect systems and being the girl who is perfectly organized. But the boxes overflowing with aspirational dreams and backup fears forced me to confront a harsh reality. My identity needed an upgrade. And it wasn't that I was a hoarder, it was that my life was changing. I was choosing to move abroad, cut loose, live with less. And this new lifestyle required a total different environment. The move revealed a deeper layer to my work. And once I said that truth out loud, once I really allowed myself to acknowledge that even the best systems have blind spots, something shifted. The dopamine rush of letting go finally truly kicked in. It wasn't about guilt anymore, it was about liberation. And I stopped asking the sneaky question, could I use this someday? That question, I realized, is a trap. Instead, I started asking a much more powerful and also present-focused question. Does this serve the version of me who exists today, right now? And if the answer was resounding no, if the item didn't align with who I was right now, it went into the donate pile faster than actually some expired yogurt that I found. And this wasn't just decluttering, it was redefining myself, shedding the skin of who I thought I should be and embracing who I truly was. Because this mindset shift was real transformation. Fueled by this new clarity, I was ready for a brutal edit. But then reality hit. With the shipping deadline looming and an apartment to hand over, I simply ran out of time. The 16 monstrous cartons had to be shipped as they were. But here's the new plan. As soon as those boxes arrive on the coast, as soon as they were here, I will rip through them with this newfound clarity and downsize them to the 4 boxes I know we actually need. And also here's the truth. I'm learning to cut myself some slack, and you should too. This is my first time moving abroad and my first time doing it with children. I mean, what would we truly need? What if I felt strange or lonely at this new place? Would I be glad to have my familiar blanket from home? And instead of beating myself up for not being perfect, I'm choosing to see this as part of my journey. And this first move has taught me so much. It's a lesson in progress, not perfection. And also I know that for the next move, I'll be better prepared. I know that we don't need as much and we can downsize even more. The goal isn't a single perfect purge, but a continuous process, learning and letting go. So this is just the first messy, beautiful step. If you're wrestling with your own metaphorical mountain of someday, feeling overwhelmed by the sheer volume of your life, hit pause. Just for a moment, don't tackle the whole house. Instead, grab one drawer, any drawer, and ask a powerful question: does this serve the version of me who exists today? If it doesn't align with who you are right now, set it aside and see how that feels. And then tell me in the comments what surprised you most about the little exercise. I read every single one, and honestly, I'm nosy for accountability. Let's share the burden of letting go together. On the plane to the Atlantic coast, 30,000 feet above Europe, I realized the real move wasn't geographic at all. It wasn't just about Andalusia or the Atlantic coast. It was more mental, a profound internal relocation. I had moved from the suffocating, anxious postcode of fear of scarcity to the liberating, expansive address of trust of enough. And that new zip code, that new, lighter way of being, it weighs absolutely nothing at customs. It's the ultimate carry-on. So if you're staring down a hallway closet that's about to vomit tote bags or a drawer overflowing with forgotten gadgets, give yourself grace. Please. The line between being perfectly organized and completely overloaded is incredibly thin, and most of us walk it like a tightrope walker. It's easy to confuse the two, but once you see the axis for what it truly is, Not just stuff, but evidence of outdated stories, of fears, of a past self you're clinging to. You get to write the plot. You get to choose a new narrative. So my rewrite starts here, on the Atlantic coast, with 4 boxes, 1 perfectly fitting pair of jeans that make me feel good today, and a spice rack that contains exactly 0 dill seeds. Minimalism isn't a finish line you cross once and for all. It's not a destination. It's a daily question, a continuous inquiry. Does this thing, right here, right now, serve who I'm becoming or who I'm afraid to leave behind? And answer that honestly, bravely, every single day, and watch that overwhelming mountain of stuff slowly but surely turns into a manageable molehill, one ripped off label at a time.